There's a quiet line between the dark and dawn. I stand upon it, waiting. I found a place the sun stops shining, a fragile edge of silver blue. A glass horizon slowly forming, reflecting all I never knew. The distant clouds dissolve to ashes. The night retreats but leaves a stain. I feel the weight of every moment that never learned to breathe again. The wind is whispering the truth I fear, a story carried from a different year. I reach my hand but touch the cold, a lesson whispered, soft and old. On the glass horizon, I stand alone, between the world I lost and the one I've known. A fragile line where the light breaks through and shows the shade of a different you. The sky becomes a fading mirror, reflecting ghosts of who I've been. They drift like smoke across the silence, then vanish where the cracks begin. The air is warm but somehow hollow, a gentle calm that feels untrue, the kind of peace you fear to follow, the kind that still remembers you. I hear a heartbeat in the distant haze, a flicker calling through forgotten days. I take a step and feel the tremble of all the things I can't assemble. On the glass horizon, I face the dawn, where the shadows fall, but the light lives on. A fragile line where my fears unwind and leave a whisper inside my mind. The sun breaks through the silver ceiling, the frozen air begins to warm, and in the light I find a healing, a calm before the coming storm. On the glass horizon, I breathe again, across the edge of a fractured hill. Wake up in the quiet, where the shadows shape the room. A flicker on the ceiling, like a message from the moon. And the walls begin to whisper, in a voice I used to know, saying all the broken pieces are the seeds you failed to sow. There's a window faintly glowing, but it never shows the day. Just reflections of a memory that won't seem to fade away. Every step I take inside me feels like walking through a dream, where the echoes of my choices cut the silence like a beam. And I build these walls in the corners of my mind, brick by brick. I hide myself from everything I left behind, but the cracks begin to widen when the truth comes creeping in. And I fear the day they crumble, 'cause I won't know who I've been. Distant heartbeat, like a drum beneath the floor. It's the part of me still calling for the life I had before. But the seasons shift in silence, and the colors start to drain, till the past becomes a stranger, and the present feels the same. There's a doorway in the darkness, but it leads to nowhere new. Just a hall of empty portraits of the things I never knew. And the mirror in the center shows a face I can't define. Is it me or just the ghost of a thought I left behind? So I build these walls in the corners of my mind, brick by brick. I trap myself in the stories I design, but the cracks begin to open, letting in a trembling light. And I wonder if escaping means I'm ready for the fight. One day the walls will fall, and what remains will be real. A single note repeating, like a clock without a hand. And I walk into the silence, trying hard to understand why the walls I built to save me turn to prisons over time. But tonight they start to tremble. In the ruins, I might find a sign. The wires hum, the walls breathe slow, a quiet storm beneath the skull. There's a signal in the silence, broken message in my head, a pulse that drifts through hidden circuits, through thoughts I never meant to shed. The static shakes my fragile senses, the past returns in colored lines, every shadow draws a pattern across the maps inside my mind. I hear the humming in the night, a coded truth, a fading light. I chase it down through Soft footsteps in a hollow room. The past is breathing somewhere in the dark. I found a door beneath the stairs, behind the years, behind my fears. Dusty voices fill the air, whispering the things I failed to hear. A fading photo on the ground, a memory that won't stay drowned. The cellar hums a trembling sound, echoes of the life I never found. And every shadow moves like truth, every truth dissolves like rain. I reach for all my scattered youth, but all I touch is quiet pain. Echoes in the cellar call my name, through broken walls of guilt and flame. I close my eyes and feel the weight of every moment lost too late. A distant heartbeat on the floor, someone I was, someone before. His voice is knocking on the door, begging for a world worth fighting for. The lights are dim, the air is cold, the stories rise, the secrets fold. I face the boy I used to hold, and watch his innocence grow old. The ceiling cracks with every breath, the past escapes like a whispered death. I chase it down the spiral stair, but find there's nothing left to repair. Echoes in the cellar call my name, through broken walls of guilt and flame. They rise and fall like phantom tides, revealing all the truth I hide. I light a candle in the dust to show the parts of me I trust. The shadows soften into rust, and all the walls return to dust. Echoes in the cellar fade away, like dying stars at end of day. I breathe them out, release the night, and walk back slowly into light. Another day, another line. March begins again. They walk the streets in silver shadows, faces blank and eyes half closed, trading dreams for borrowed hours, following the path they chose. The neon hum becomes a mantra, a lullaby for hollow minds. They chase a promise made of concrete, a hope the daylight never finds. And every step becomes a chain, every chain becomes a rule. Everyone plays the part they're given, everyone obeys the school. Join the concrete parade, my friend, where the streets don't bend and the clocks don't end. March to the beat you never made, lost in the lines of the life you trade. A thousand voices in the factory, a thousand hands that spin the wheel. They fade into the great machinery, forget the way it felt to feel. The city breathes a smoky sermon, a gospel written in the haze, and all the souls become statistics, just numbers drifting through the days. And every life becomes a cage, every cage becomes a home. Everyone walks the same old circles, everyone afraid to roam. Join the concrete parade, my friend, where the streets don't bend and the clocks don't end. March to the beat you never made, lost in the lines of the life you trade. But somewhere in the gray horizon, a spark of color breaks the mold. A distant voice begins to whisper a truth the city never told. Step out of the concrete parade tonight, break the line and reclaim your sight. Hear your own heartbeat collide with the world you buried inside. quiet of the morning, when the world is painted gray, I can feel the distant tremble of the words I couldn't say. And the sunlight on the window falls in lines across the floor, like the choices that divide me from the man I was before. There's a question in the stillness, like an echo looking back. Why do all the gentle moments turn to shadows in my traps? I can hear the soft unravel of the thoughts I couldn't find, tracing all the silent stories in the corners of my mind. In the silence beneath the light, where the truth begins to glow, I can see the paths I walk, and the ones I'll never know. But the future starts to shimmer, like a dawn beyond the fight, when I stand with open eyes in the silence beneath the light. There's a fracture in the daylight, where my fear begins to fade, and a quiet understanding of the peace I never made. All the storms I carried with me, all the weight I couldn't bear, start to drift into the distance as the morning warms the air. In the silence beneath the light, all the shadows learn to bend. Every broken piece within me finds a place to start again. And the truth becomes a whisper, softly blooming into sight. As my heart begins to open in the silence beneath the light. Every sunrise carries a forgiveness of its own. And I walk into the There's a room inside my memory where the dust has settled deep. Every chair is facing nowhere, like the dreams I failed to keep. And the air is barely moving, but it whispers all the same of the moments I let vanish with the ones I tried to blame. There's a picture on the table of a world I used to know, but the edges have been fading as the years begin to show. And the silence hangs like curtains over thoughts I never shared. In this room of empty shadows, in this room of empty chairs, in the room of empty chairs, I can hear the quiet call of the things I never faced, of the times I let them fall. But the echoes start to tremble when I breathe the deeper air, and I feel the truth awaken in the room of empty chairs. It's locked from deep inside, where the versions of my failures found a place they went to hide. Still I reach into the darkness like I'm searching for a sign that the ghosts of all my choices aren't the ones who draw the line. So I lift the fallen is often what sets us free. There's a window in the distance where the daylight never fades, and it shimmers like a memory of the choices that I made. But the room around me trembles with the weight of what I've been. Every shadow in the corner marks a place I've never seen. I can hear the quiet ticking of a clock without a face, like a heartbeat out of rhythm, searching for a steady pace. And the walls begin to whisper of a truth I used to know, but it slips between my fingers like a river's gentle flow. Through the distant window, I can see the world I lost, glowing like a promise that I never thought I'd cross. And the light keeps calling to the part of me below, still reaching for tomorrow. Through the distant window. There's a fracture in the silence where the past begins to bleed. All the fears I kept in shadows, all the dreams I failed to feed. But the window keeps on glowing with a warmth I can't explain, like a voice that's gently telling me to step beyond the pain. So I gather all the moments that I left along the line, every sorrow, every promise, every thought I called not mine, and I hold them to the window till the light light begins to grow, turning all my broken stories into seeds I might still sow. Through the distant window shines a truth I can't ignore, calling me to open all the locked and silent doors, and the light grows brighter as I let the old ghosts go, walking toward tomorrow. Through the distant window, sometimes the smallest light is all the world you need. And the glow becomes a pathway through the emptiness inside, till I step into the sunrise with no shadows left to hide. With no shadows left to hide. There's a line across the horizon where the daylight used to be. Now it shivers in the distance like a fading memory, and the wind begins to wander through the corners of my chest, searching for a heartbeat left forgotten with the rest. I remember all the colors from a world I couldn't save, how they melted into silence like the laughter that I gave. And the stars became a warning of a truth I never knew, that the sky can break above you when your hope breaks within you. And I hear the echoes falling from a broken sky, calling out the pieces of the life I left behind in the shadows of tomorrow, where the faded stories lie. I keep chasing distant voices in the echoes of a broken sky. traces of the self I can't deny. In the shadows of forever, where the silent truths apply, I keep reaching for the meaning in the echoes of a broken sky. Somewhere above the silence, the sky remembers what I forget. Like a pulse beneath the night, and I walk beneath the heavens till the dark turns into light. A whisper in the doorway pulls me from my sleep. It tells me there are secrets even silence wants to keep. And the night begins to wander through the corners of my head, tracing every memory of the words I left unsaid. There's a question in the twilight, like a flame behind the rain. Why do all my choices seem to echo back as pain? Every breath becomes a window into something I can't see, where the shadows grow the longest from the parts I hide in me. And I walk beneath the longest shadow, falling from a distant past, trying hard to find tomorrow in a world that moves too fast. But the truth keeps breaking open, like a sunrise through the cold. And I stand within the longest shadow of the stories I was told. There's a moment in the stillness where the answers start to rise, like a flicker of a memory behind forgotten eyes. And the darkness slowly trembles as the fear begins to fade. In the distance of a future I was too afraid to make. So I gather all the pieces of the things I used to be, every broken expectation, every quiet tragedy, and I hold them to the sunlight till the shadows fall away. 'Cause the past can't shape my footsteps if I choose a different day. I step beyond the longest shadow where the truth begins to shine, leaving all the ghosts behind me that once claimed my heart and mind. And the light keeps growing brighter as I take the final stride from the weight of the longest shadow to the dawn I hold inside. Even the longest shadow is born from light. A single note repeating, soft as breathing in the air. And I walk in to the sunrise, with the truth I learned to bear.